awesome! You are mighty indeed! The blood of Dracula flows strongly in you after all!
Well, hello my friends, and welcome back to the Review Den. These videos are my part of a collaboration I took part in with Lucien the World Gamer, where he went over all the ports of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I'll be linking to that at the end of this video, so be sure to watch all the way through. But for now... Now you might think this is just another port of Symphony of the Night, but believe it or not, this game actually played a role in the evolution of the digital storefronts as we know them today. So let me set the table a bit on how this particular version landed on Microsoft's platforms of all places. The XBLA storefront launched... it launched as we know it, fully integrated alongside the 360 in 2005. Yes, even the original Blades dashboard featured it. The idea was to give players fun, bite-sized games in between full disc releases, and to keep things orderly, a few restrictions were included. They had to have achievements, they had to have a free demo, and they had to be under 50 megabytes. Well, that's not bad. Modern Warfare is 200 gigabytes, so I guess 50 isn't that... Oh no, not 50 gigabytes, 50 megabytes. There are calculator apps bigger than that. The reason, like Xbox Live itself, was to get gamers to play together. Not all 360s had a hard drive initially. You could just buy a memory card for your profile and saves. And since the smallest memory card was 64 megabytes, the idea was that players could download an XBLA game, pop their memory card into a friend's 360, and enjoy it there. This worked fine for smaller games like Geometry Wars, Uno, Turtles, and Hexic, but when 2007 rolled around and they announced one of the greatest games of all time was coming to the platform, it presented a problem. Symphony of the Night has one of the most stunning soundtracks of all time, and it was presented in awesome CD quality, which generously filled the PS1's blackback CDs. So, to accommodate this game, Microsoft made the decision to raise the download cap to 150 megabytes, enough to fit the game and the soundtrack, albeit strongly compressed. It was a game of firsts. Symphony made its first appearance on a non-PlayStation console, and it was the first game to raise the XBLA size cap. Later games like Marvel vs. Capcom, Shadow Complex, and Watchmen helped slowly remove restrictions, but Symphony was the game to truly start the drive towards the entire game downloads we have today, for better or worse. So, what did we get for all that lead up? Well, a surprisingly decent port as it turns out. SOTN for XBLA
Stop that.
Is based on the original PS1 version, unlike the Saturn and Dracula X ports, so the gameplay is in its original pure form. You don't get to fight as, or against, Maria, as the Dracula X ports added back in, but Richter is still there, as is the Axelord armor. There's no Nose Demon or Sprite Fairy.
Do you mean me or my familiar over there?
And finally, there's no extra Saturn areas, although those are exclusive to the Saturn. None of the PlayStation versions, even the later ports, get those. The Sword Brothers glitch still works for duplicating gems, although not for exiting the chapel. You can exit the map with a Double Hearts refresh glitch. Finally, Richter's downslide is still super powerful, and yes, you can swim in doggo form. Gameplay-wise, yeah, it's all here. Everything plays as awesome as you remember it. No, the real discussion for the XBLA port is presentation. Being a 2-generation-old game means you're presenting a 240p image on a system that renders an upscaled 1080p, so by default it includes an image smoothing or enhanced mode. And surprisingly, it's pretty good. Many retro compilations, even to this day, tend to be over-aggressive with pixel smoothing, but Symphony of the Night manages to round off the edges without looking blurry. Even the PS3's smoothing mode goes a little soft here by comparison. The only downside is you can see some artifacting with objects like the Bounding Stone, and there's some slowdown at the bottom of the waterfall in the caverns, but this goes away with the normal mode. And yes, normal mode lets you see the game with all those nice sharp pixels. You can even resize and adjust the display to your liking without the awkward pixel stretching of the Saturn version. My only complaint is you can't disable the wallpaper in this version. I mean, I like that it has the cool animated clouds floating by, but 4x3 games should at least have the option for plain black borders, and instead you get Alucard and Dracula engaged in this never-ending staring contest.
Made you blink. Nuh-uh, I didn't, Dad.
Okay, the elephant in the room. The big compromise here is the audio. Shrinking hundreds of megabytes of CD quality audio into a 95 megabyte package required some high-powered compression, and they didn't quite have the lossless algorithms that we have nowadays. The good news is there aren't any audio artifacts or static or that metallic tinniness of old Napster-era compression. You can tell they work to get the best sound possible, but you do lose some clarity off the top end. It's the sort of thing you might not notice on TV speakers, but on a good sound system, you can tell the difference. Sound effects are a bit more flat as well. You don't quite get the cool stereo separation, such as when you hear Alucard swing his sword in the original. However, and yes, I will die on this hill, having the original voice track with PS1 Chris Redfield's Scott McCulloch as Richter, and an honestly better script, Fight Me, is worth keeping the original for, even if you enjoy the added content of the PSP ports.
Count Dracula rises but once every century, and my role is over. If I can resurrect him, then the battle will last for eternity.
Impressive. You're very strong.
What is it you want? You didn't come here to tell me that.
For what profit is it to a man if he gains the world and loses his own soul?
And finally, FMV was removed from the US version, so you don't get the Konami logo or those glorious first-gen PS1 movies of the castle appearing, but that was pretty much a given to keep the file size down. Overall, I'd say this is a surprisingly good port of one of the best side-scrollers of all time, and since it's backwards compatible with Xbox One and the Series consoles, both Sony and Microsoft fans have a chance to play this legendary title. Thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to watch the full video Lucian put together. It is an awesome review and comparison of all the console ports and content of Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and I was thrilled to be part of it. Seriously, he put together a massive video that covers like every little difference between all the different versions. It's definitely worth your time if you enjoy Castlevania or even just enjoy console comparisons. Awesome job, buddy, and great reference video for anyone looking for the best version of an absolute classic. From Fox and I, though, I appreciate each and every one of you, and if you'd like to help a small channel grow, would you be my next subscriber? I'll be back with another video, and until next time, be sure to keep going, because you are worth it.